I want to tell you a most unusual story that was told to me by my professor of plant pathology when I was a university student. It's about a horrible medical disease that was caused by, you know what, maize. I'm at Winford Holiday Farm in the Eastern Free State, and I've just harvested some of this old-fashioned Indian corn. This is the original maize from which all other varieties have been bred slowly over the years, or at least one of the original kinds. And this is something very interesting that I can show you. If you look in this little patch there, you will see this little patch of corn is a little bit diseased, and it appears to have some fungal growth on there. Now, this is not necessarily the organism that I'm going to tell you about, but it illustrates the point. So, the university became quite concerned about the fact that there was an abnormally large incidence of throat cancer among specifically black males in the Transkei. Now, if you look southwards from where I am, right across the river, there's Lesotho, and beyond Lesotho, there's the Transkei. And so they try to establish whether there was maybe a genetic link or what could be the reason. And throat cancer in this case was particularly horrible. It really was a nasty disease. And so they sent this team of scientists to the Transkei to go and see what they could find out. And what they found out was extraordinary. They discovered that the disease was limited to men, specifically, primarily, and more specifically was limited to men who drank homebrew beer, native beer, homemade. And then they discovered the reason. So what happened was that the men would harvest all the good-looking kernels, the healthy ones, and those they would use for porridge and for food and so on to grind up, and the rest, everything that looked blackened or somewhat diseased, they would put that aside, and then they'd leave the kernels between two layers of Hessian bag, and they'd keep them moist until they sprouted, and that created the malt from which native beer was then subsequently brewed. And what happened was that the diseased kernels contained a fungal disease that produced some kind of an aflatoxin, some biological toxin, and that toxin caused throat cancer. This toxin was so incredibly potent that when they isolated it and they injected it into a horse, the horse died, and when they did the autopsy, they found that the cranial cavity where the brain should have been was practically empty. The whole brain had just shrunk. And so it's really a nasty disease, and they had to try then and reverse the trend by means of education. And they had to teach the local farmers there to only use the best kernels for all the agricultural produce. And certainly that is a principle that holds true universally in the world of agriculture, and we try to do the same here at Winford. Only the best from farm to table. Hope you enjoyed the story.